Let me put into terms that maybe a rapper could barely understand. I'm gonna beat you down so severely, it's gonna leave you mentally scarred like you left Diddy's party too late. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call a sick burn. I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite from the DCU Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. It was the best of times, it was the Worcestershire of times. And oh boy, do I have thoughts about this particular show. Hence why I do these reviews, for fun and also to vent about things that could have been better and talk about things I liked and then just vent about things that I pretty much was going to fucking hate anyway because of the particular participants. I wonder if you can guess which segment, which match I didn't like at all. That being said, I'm actually pretty excited to see what is going to develop in time for AEW Dynasty. Yeah, I've decided because of Swerve and Joe and Danielson, Ospreay, and Thunder Rosa, Tony Storm, Willow Nightingale, and Julia Hart, with the idea of Mercedes CEO Monet being there to likely, congratulate Willow and then lay her out and lead up to AEW Double or Nothing. They're trying to layer some stuff here. I'll give them credit for that. Are you excited for AEW Dynasty? Let me know in the comments. What did you think of this particular show? Because I'll tell you what I thought. I thought it was messy. I thought there were good parts, and I thought that they were showing more examples of them not being able to get out of their own way. They just can't leave some things well enough alone. And once again, my DVR records an hour over. I have no problem, with any of this overrun stuff happening because I always catch it, but there are a lot of people that don't catch it, and it's really getting to the point where Tony Khan needs to learn to manage his motherfucking time. He needs to be a goddamn boss. If you want to know my thoughts on all the stuff that CM Punk said, not just about, Tony Khan and everything, but just all the stuff that he said on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, check out my review, or, my breakdown of it. I did about 30 to 35 minutes. So that being said, let's get into this review because there's some stuff to mention. So DCU Arena or Center, around 15,000 seat capacity, and they had about 3,300 people according to WrestleTix. I will give the fans credit. They tried to make as much noise as they could. But goddamn it, run smaller arenas. If you can't market, if you can't promote, the crowds are getting smaller. The last time they were there was July 27th of 2022. Okay, they had about 6,100 people, which still isn't necessarily spectacular. It's only about half the capacity, or just under half of the capacity. But god damn it, all these big money, signees, all this, the production, the production quality that they could have if Tony Khan actually put proper people in there, and maybe if somebody could book this stuff well, because they have talent. They just have no goddamn direction. Anyway, so they had tight shots on the lower bowl because that's all where the people were. They had no other people. If there were people in the upper bowl, I mean, if there were, please let me know how the arena sounded. So, the Cope is here. That is what Adam Copeland's name is now, and I will explain why in a bit. He's happy to be here, and I don't blame him. He wants to finish his career in AEW. He did everything and then some on top of the sum in WWE. He came back after 9 goddamn years and was able to do some great stuff through the pandemic and do what he wanted to do. I was there for his debut at AEW Wrestle Dream, which was really, really cool. But he the mic is fucking up. It's like there's been lots of negative feedback. Tony, get better goddamn mics. These things happen, but what the fuck? There's been lots of negative feedback this week, but I want to talk about the positives. Like the positive, just bleeding of, like hemorrhaging of viewers every single goddamn week. Every show fluctuates. It is getting dire for AEW, and it shouldn't be. They should be hitting a peak. They have some good talent there. They have some people that are really fired up to make things work. And Tony keeps shooting himself in the foot. So anyway, he loves wrestling. He, watched Stampede. He saw Owen Hart's rise. He used to watch Canadian Independence. He watched NWA, watched WWF. He mentioned all this stuff, and he loves pro wrestling. He bleeds pro wrestling. and how he had to fight to get it back, and that he wanted to be in AEW because, you know, he wanted to finish his career there. It's a murderer's row of talent. That's actually a very fitting thing, because if you wrestle the wrong people, you could feel like you were murdered, and you could end up on the injured reserve, which a lot of people are. Ask Adam Cole, baby. Ask MJF. Ask a lot of people that are either battling through injuries. Ask Kenny Omega. Ask the fact that the Bucks can't goddamn it. Well, the Bucks aren't safe workers anyway, but you get the point. A lot of people are injured. Phoenix is injured. So many people are fucking injured. Because somebody won't be a boss. Anyway, it's like, I've been part of some of the greatest locker rooms in history, and I will put that locker room against all of them. And that locker room would get the shit kicked out of them. Except for the good talents. And yeah, goddamn know it, Cope. And I don't know him personally. I know he's happy to be there. And that's great. He talks about, you know, all the people that he could face, and mentions the House of Black and all that. Talks about the AEW originals, Omega, the Bucks, even Cody. Cody is the only one that got a reaction. The biggest star, one of the biggest stars in the other company that Tony Khan had. It's frustrating. Anyway, he's having fun, and AEW is making wrestling a better place, and it's more fun. There's nothing wrong with having fun doing what you're doing, but you need to also present a serious product. AEW is where the best wrestle. It's like where the big boys play. And that company is still... Oh, wait, that company's not going anymore. And this... It's actually kind of fitting that, you know, Adam Copeland is, you know, talking about this and giving the rah-rah speech. And look, I get it. He's probably frustrated. He probably feels like he needs to be a leader there. And that's fine. That's totally fine. He introduces Will Ospreay, that AEW is moving into the future. Yeah, probably being future endeavored if Warner Bros. Discovery doesn't get a better return. I'm calling him the Cope now, by the way, because Tony Khan's going to use him as his coping mechanism once Bryan Danielson retires. And that's if Copeland actually can stay healthy, and hopefully he can. But I get what they were going for, but you know what? It just shows that Punk was right. Tony Khan is thin-skinned. He is not a boss, and there's nothing wrong with defending your company. He's had multiple opportunities, on top of the multiple opportunities, on top of more multiple opportunities to make this a series company with entertainment, and he has failed to do that. He's put on some good matches, some shows that have worked pretty well, some shows that have exceeded expectations. He also has managed to cause the ratings to fucking nosedive, because he won't be a boss and tell some people, no, we're going to do things this way. And then Will Ospreay took on Powerhouse Hobbs, or as one of my friends called him, Powerhouse Hobbit. So, Power Hobbit. We hate the Hobbitses. And the crowd was chanting, let's go, Will. They're both named Will. But then again, it's Worcester. Don't think the education system is all that high. Sorry. I'm sure there are some lovely people there. I've actually been to Massachusetts once for a weekend, and it was actually a pretty good state. So, Speed versus Powerhouse. Callis joins commentary, contributing nothing. Callis has contributed nothing since signing with the company. Bet the women feel a whole lot safe. Oh, and there was a drop on the steps. Why? Why do you need to do that? You don't need to do that. And then a toss on over the head toss, you know, fall away slam over the announcer's table, and you know, Will Ospreay. I'm just gonna say Ospreay hits the goddamn table and the chairs. And this wasn't awful. Like, it was fine. It was fine. Hobbs, however, is damaged goods at this point. It stopped start with him. They had a chance after he told a story about, you know, the actions that led to a death in his family, I believe his brother, and all the stuff they did. Then they turned him heel. Okay, he looks like he could be a badass. And then they just couldn't figure it out. And there was an Oz cutter. Before that, a frog splash. Hobbs should not go up to the top doing that. I was worried he freaking goddamn hurt his knee. Thankfully, he didn't. A bad DDT landing, a sky twist, hidden blade, 1, 2, 3. Hobbs is pissed, probably waiting to get the fuck out of there. And then here's Danielson. And he applauds and stares at Will, and then he goes on to face Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk Monster, in a Speed versus Pat. Wait, we just did this. This is what I mean by they just can't leave well enough alone. And I had nothing against Hobbs and Ospreay. And there was some good psychology chopping down the bigger man in this match. We just saw a big man, smaller man match. And while there was good stuff here, and it was nice that Archer took it to him, he also sold the knee well. He did a goofy thing by throwing a cameraman or security guy right on top of Danielson, because apparently Tony Khan only remembered that from the New Japan days. And then there was a little bell lock. There was an apron choke slam just before the aforementioned security guard got tossed on Danielson. More, knee strikes. I'm going to call it the Bukaiko knee now. Bukaiko knee, I mean. Because I think they should be sponsored by Geico, because they're going to need some goddamn, insurance rates to be reduced, because there's going to be some insurance premiums cashed in on if people keep being allowed to do what they're doing, and suddenly they're going to be just collecting their big fat paychecks while certain people, get out there to basically beat up their bodies. So finally he hits the second knee, 1, 2, 3. It wasn't bad, but we just saw a big man, little man match. And then here's Renee to bring out Chris Jericho. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about Jericho, especially his insurrection participating wife. That stupid goddamn twat. I hope she's jailed. I hope everybody involved in that goddamn thing is jailed and isn't allowed to vote. You know why? Because they shouldn't be. You're all pieces of shit. Jericho then wants to send Hook, and he sends for Hook, and there's Hook. And yeah, I screwed over a lot of people, but when you reach the top, you can do a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, take advantage of certain women, allegedly. And believe in me as I believe in you. And they're going to have a tag match on Collision. I read the Collision spoilers, by the way. They taped it because it's going to be shown later because of the NCAA tournament, and also it's WrestleMania 40 weekend, this weekend, obviously. Otherwise, it'd be weird if it was during the week. Then it'd be WrestleMania week, which it practically is, given the amount of stuff that they're doing. But I'm not going to end up reviewing Collision. I'm probably not going to review Collision for a while. I did watch most of Collision this past Saturday, and it was nice to see Thunder Rosa and Lady Frost. Boy, howdy was it ever. More on her later. Thunder Rosa, that is. Even though Lady Frost, I hope she's doing well also. So, Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty immediately challenge Jericho and Hook. Okay. And then Jay White took on Billy Gunn, and Billy is just standing right behind Jay and gets him from behind. Daddy ass getting the switchblade from behind. Can Jay get arrested for beating up the elderly? Will you be serious? And Billy just wanted to fight and just threw him around the ringside area, threw him around the crowd. Aubrey was just made to look like an idiot. And Aubrey's not an idiot. I like Aubrey. Aubrey's a very good referee. They made her seem totally ineffective here, where she's like, could you get back in the ring? Could we do something? Have some decorum. Oh, wait, no, he's back in WWE overseeing NXT. And Billy barely took any bumps during this whole thing. I know he's almost 60 or at 60, and I get it. He looks great, but Jay can bump like a Super Bowl. But the Acclaimed and the Guns are watching backstage, and the Acclaimed suddenly are laid out on screen. And then two Famousers, one more time, then the Guns show up. And then a low blow. And after spending about 8 years outside the ring, where it could have been a double count out, no, we have that be a DQ. Rare DQ in AEW, I'll give them that much credit. And then the Guns are going to attack him. And then here come the Acclaimed. A near announcer's table bump to Jay White. This feud is fucking rotten. I'm sorry. This feud is right. Even though I have nothing against the people in particular. Even Jay, who I find boring. And then the Blocks and the Best Friends show up with Sue. Great. You know what? I'm sure she's proud of her son. Be proud of your son at home. You know, what is... The stuff with Sue has just not been good. Some people have liked it, and that's fine. Renee brings out Willow, Statlander, and Peanut Stokely because he really does remind me of Hans Moleman. And basically Willow's like, I feel mother fluffing great, and they're facing the staging area with the crowd behind them. And, you know, I'm going to say right now I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it a little bit different. Like how WWF used to have the stage and everything, and they used to talk there. You know, they would have that for big pay-per-views or big TV tapings. And I get that. It was different, but it wasn't good because the crowd felt like background noise. They didn't feel like they were able to participate. Willow didn't feel like she would live up to her potential. That, you know, she's chubby, has frizzy hair, she's awkward, she's weird. That's why she stands out, by the way, because she actually has personality and she actually is pretty good in the ring, and she looks different. And nothing wrong with looking different. She looks good. I'm just saying. At least, I mean, I think she does. I mean, I think her style fits just fine. She shouted out something called the White Eagle, which has something to do with Worcester, I guess, and she has doubts, but the fans made her feel special. Stokely says that she's special. This is telegraphing the Statlander's going to turn on Willow at some point. Here's Mercedes. Why was she dressed like Daphne? Who was going to be her Fred? Was a dog going to be involved? Where is Velma? I have so many questions. Why wasn't Linda Cardellini on the show? She would have talked better than Mercedes. Mercedes is stagey. She already doesn't feel special. I'm sorry. She's only been there for like a month. Does she feel special? Maybe, 3 weeks? She's got next at Double or Nothing. Whether it's Willow or whether it's Willow. It's going to be Willow. Julia's going to lose, and that's fine. And then the Blux took on Trent and Orange Cassidy with Taylor in the corner and Sue sitting there at ringside because apparently they needed to have her nearby just in case they needed to shock her back to, you know, life, kind of like Stu and Helen Hart, except Stu and Helen Hart now would be more beneficial. And I'm sure Sue is nice. I don't really care if she is or not. She shouldn't be on a wrestling program. You've got to give the people what they want, and then maybe not the best time to do that, Tony Schiavone says. Or wrong time to do that, apparently, but we get a buckle shot and we get a roll-up 1, 2, 3. And then Trent snaps on Cassidy and turns on him. You've got to give the people what they want. They did finally. Maybe we can get away from this bullshit and I don't have to see this team again. And Trent has brain parasites where his brain should be anyway because of the stuff that, you know, he feels as far as life and politically. So he aligns pretty much with the Bucks right there. No wonder he's friends with them. And I just want to say, I, once again, cannot stand what the Bucks are doing. And it doesn't interest me. So let's just move on. Also, a Trent Orange Cassidy feud. Really? Thunder Rosa took on Mariah May. Tony joins commentary. Tony Storm at times can make this work. And at times it just gets ridiculous. And not even ridiculous like in a funny way. Mariah May looks great. Thunder Rosa, I love Thunder Rosa. She looks great. What a fucking talent. I mean that. I'm so happy she's back on television, able to do what she loves. I was worried she wasn't going to be able to come back to wrestling. I didn't have any idea how much I missed her until I realized a couple months in, you know, I was really hoping she'd come back, and then she didn't come back till late last year. I hope she's at the Dynamite that I'm going to be at, because that's going to be cool to see her live again in the same city where I first met her at an indie show almost 6 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long. Some good stuff here. Like, you know, they worked hard. There was the butt bump in the corner, Mariah channeling rocker Tony Storm. I did kind of like the line, unhand my child, because Thunder Rosa's bouncing her around. We got 10 minutes left is what I noted, so we're going to have a major overrun. Rosa is so good at this. And Mariah, look, I see why people like Mariah. She's not bad in the ring. We got a backstabber, and then we got the Tijuana Bomb 1, 2, 3. I enjoyed the match for what it was. I think they need to start flipping around where the women are, not just always putting them right before the main event. Have a concerted effort to build around talented women, and you know what? You might actually have something, because Rosa is somebody you could build upon. She was a good women's champion. She's somebody that can have good matches, good to great matches with a lot of the women there if you give them a chance. Give them a chance to go out there and tell a story. And then Rosa basically is coming for Tony. We have 5 minutes left is what I noted. So we're not going to go to contract signing. We're going to go to Alex, and Penta says he will face the Cope next week. Zero fear. So, Shivani officiates the Swerve Joe contract signing. And basically, are here to dance with or here to dance for Nana. They had that camera laser focused on that young lady. You know, that brunette. I mean, her dark haired. I actually couldn't tell with the lighting. Had laser focused on her. She seemed like she was having fun. Seemed like other people were having fun because we swerve when we drive. We swerve when we drive. That's all you're going to get right now because some stuff on this show was kind of annoying me. Joe comes out. They do a little back and forth. He says you signed his contract. It's doom and gloom for you. And then the stuff about, you know, leaving Diddy's party too late. That was a bar, as the kids say. And then Swerve is ready to reach his apex, reach his dynasty, build a dynasty. Dynasty. Carrollton, Georgia. If you get it, you get it. And he mentions all the people that, you know, have helped build the company, everything. MJF chants rang out from the crowd. I hope MJF comes back at some point and healthy. Most importantly, healthy. And then Joe kind of pie faces him. And, you know, Swerve tries to choke him with the chain. That doesn't work. Joe hits him with about several chain punches. Swerve's bleeding. He goes to leave. And then Swerve's laughing and everything. I love this shit, and signs it in his blood. And then Joe comes back down and Uranagi's him through the table where the contract was. So, okay. I don't have a problem with that. I think they're building this about as well as they can. The show is just so inconsistent, and there are things that don't need to go as long as they do, and things that don't need to happen. Trent and Orange Cassidy, really? But there were elements of a decent show here. I hope Dynasty is going to be a good show. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.